We are by our very nature relational. Yes, we have moments of independence, but we spend most of our life in a variety of relationships, beginning with our understanding of self and our own family of origin. As we grow and mature, we learn the beginning skills of relationships from our parents, from our brothers and sisters, from our extended family, from all sorts of different human communities, all of which are primarily relational. For most people, their experience of relationship will one day be made manifest in a relationship with another person, a person who is not required to be in relationship with us, but with whom we mutually discover what it means to be a singular person in relationship with another person. Together, we explore the meaning of trust, vulnerability, and intimacy. Some of these relationships further develop into exclusive relationships. The other person is the primary focus of our attention and our awareness. And together, we build a relationship which, depending on who we are and what the boundaries of our particular culture and society might be, outlines what seem to be mutual expectations for growth, development, and hopefully some kind of maturity and fulfillment along the way. Often, but not always, this primary relationship generates other human persons, and the patterns and the lessons continue on to another generation. When we celebrate this particular bonding, a marriage perhaps, or a mutual partnership, or some other kind of exclusive relationship, it is not unusual to exchange promises with each other as a way of celebrating what has been agreed upon. The promises are rooted in the expectations and the experiences of the culture which we represent, but often include some type of promise for better or for worse, for richer or poor. This promise is a hopeful statement that the relationship will be long-lasting, and it is an acknowledgement that it will have high points and low points. All of this is a simple refresher, a simple reminder of some of the components, some of the reality in which you now find yourself. The person with whom you are in relationship with has a disorder that produces anxiety for them, but also for you. It produces many more questions than answers, leading to all different kinds of experiences, some of which are shared together, but some of which are experienced very much alone. It is a situation in which you are confronted with the promise, however it was exchanged, that we are in this together, for better or for worse. My working assumption is that you have tried very hard to understand what is going on. You have tried to be the best support that you can possibly be. You have encouraged, and many times even enabled, steps that seem to lead to some improvements. Along the way, you have been confused, disappointed, probably frustrated, but nonetheless hopeful that somehow the person that you love can find a way to become free from this suffering. And in the process, you can together become free of this terrible burden of anxiety and questioning. I can assure you that this hope is not a waste of time. It is in fact a realistic hope. And I would go so far as to say that it is also a realistic expectation. That being said, and I think you already know what I'm going to say, getting to that point is not going to be easy. If it was easy, you would have made it long ago. If you could have done anything to change the trajectory or to redirect that anxiety by now, you would have engaged whatever the solution might have been. It's not happened. And you find yourself here today at this moment with even more questions and doubts. The kind of questions and doubts that are anchored in years and years of experience. Be assured that your spouse does not want this to continue. They want it to end even more than you want it to end. They are aware of what it is doing to them, but they're also aware of what it's doing to you. All that being acknowledged as reality has not and will not change the situation. Up until this point, about the best that your spouse has been able to achieve with this suffering and with this disorder is some kind of more or less quiet suffering. You have both learned some of the parameters of what is going on, and you have each made the choices that you needed to make and to manage the situation at least somewhat. I assure you that this is and will always be an act of love and devotion. Never minimize how far you have come together and what you have accomplished with each other. It is all gift. There is one more thing that you can do and that your spouse cannot do for themselves. You can help them understand that what this disorder is doing to them is robbing both of you of the joy of the present moment. OCD scrupulosity has many manifestations, but it normally is centered around one dominant end result. It either propels the person who is suffering into some kind of fear and anxiety about the future, or it repels them into the past with some kind of fear and anxiety about what has already been experienced and which needs somehow to be made perfect. When you listen carefully to the person that you love as they describe their anxiety to you, try not to pay attention to all the details. Identify where the real fear is in which the anxiety maintains, the past or the future. My guess is that when you respond specifically to whatever doubts or questions they are expressing to you, and you try to reassure them or console them or try to explain to them or whatever. All of these responses are loving responses and caring responses. But the truth is, what you are doing without knowing it is simply enabling their OCD. You can't see it, and they most certainly can't see it. But if you converse with them about either the uncertain past or the unknowable future, all you are essentially doing is confirming their anxiety. The real efficient and most helpful response is to help them move out of the past or the future and center completely on the present moment. The disorder robs them of the ability to accomplish this simple task, but you can help them accomplish it. In order to help your spouse be in the present moment, you too have to be only in the present moment. You have to completely and totally concentrate on what you are currently experiencing, moment by moment. It is a deliberate and disciplined choice. And to be honest, it may even feel a little bit silly. And you might wonder why you are encouraging the present moment. The reason you are deliberately engaging the present moment is because it is the only experience of the now that human beings are capable of. The second that we anticipate what is going to happen next, we are in the future. The second we try to remember what just occurred, we are in the past. The present moment is a completely different kind of experience. Because you do not have the disorder of OCD scrupulosity, you have the ability to deliberately choose to be present to the moment, the now. There is nothing in you either propelling you or repelling you one way or the other. The only thing that is missing is the effort and the discipline that is required to choose to be present to the moment. The simplest way to become present to the moment, at least for most people, is to learn to concentrate on your breathing. Breathe in and then breathe out. Repeat and then repeat again. You continue this practice until you are able to deliberately choose to become aware of something else. For example, the heat of the sun, the gentle breeze, the smell of dinner cooking in the oven. Whatever it might be, but whatever it is happening now. And in the now there is beauty, there is power, there is grace, but most of all there's peace. Not immediately, not all at once, but slowly, one breath at a time, 1 minute a day, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week. Every time you or your spouse tries to leave the moment, you deliberately bring yourself back to the moment. If you practice this kind of mindfulness, and this is what we call the deliberate and disciplined choice of trying to be in the present moment, you are engaging in ancient spiritual practice. The grace of the moment, the grace of the spiritual practice, effectively focuses the mind on what is real. What can be totally experienced in the fullness of the moment, the now. As a remedy for scrupulosity and OCD, it's highly effective because it takes away the necessary fuel, which is the anxiety that feeds the fear. It is the ever-present fear, fueled by the constant anxiety, that causes the real suffering that your loved one is experiencing.